Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Of course, this is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tiah, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to crochet this arm warmer slash neck warmer. We have our sleeves here, nice and long and very puffy and very comfortable. And then of course we have the portion of it that is the turtleneck here. So as you can see, I did my turtleneck really big, and this is how I like to do a turtleneck. Well, at least I don't like to wear a lot of turtlenecks, but when I do, I like it to be big and puffy, because I don't like the type of turtlenecks that really hold your neck close. I feel very claustrophobic in those. So I've always, whenever I choose to wear something that has a turtleneck, I always choose to have something that is nice and loose, so that my neck is not all like, look like I'm being choked with the turtleneck. So this is why I'm doing it like this. I have seen a few of people who are doing it with the neck really tight, and I decided, hey, I'm going to do my own, but I'm going to do mine with nice and a nice big puffy turtleneck like this. And as you can see, I have it in this nice orange color, and then also made one in the black, because I like to have a lot of black outfits. I just find that they go with everything. So as you will see here, I have them in these two colors. They both turned out really nice, but obviously it's not the neck portion of it is not the same on this one and on the black one, just because I ran out of yarn of the black one, you guys, and I stopped as soon as the yarn ran out. I stopped the turtleneck, so it's a little bit more snatched in than it is in this one. I had enough yarn in this one, okay? But this orange color is the one that I'm going to be showing you guys how to do on the video, because the whole point is doing it with this big and puffy turtleneck part of it. So don't go anywhere. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get this project started, as per usual, I'm going to show you guys all the materials that I'm using for it. And as you can see here, one of my favorite yarns, Craft Smart Value TM. It's very nice and soft. It is 100% acrylic. It's a medium weight number 4, and recommended hook size is a 5.5mm crochet hook, or USI 9. And this color is called Clay. Okay, so you may hear me referring to it as orange in the video. If you do, just remember that it is called Clay officially, but it is very orangey color. Okay, for crochet hook size, I will be using the size that is recommended, which is 5.5mm crochet hook, or I9. You can go crochet hook smaller or bigger, it depending on how you crochet and your tension, and how what your intensity is when you crochet. Okay, I'm also going to be needing a darning needle to sew my panels together. It's good to have some of these guys around, because you're going to need them, a tape measure, and of course a scissors. Okay, so go ahead and grab your stuff and let's get started. Okay, so to go ahead and get the project started, we're going to start with a foundation chain. And to do a foundation chain, of course, you need to do your slip knot first. So I'm going to do my slip knot right here. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and start a foundation chain of 90 plus 1, so 91. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and done my chain of 91. So 90 is what we need, but 1 is the turning chain. And so we're gonna go ahead and get started with our second row, or first row, sorry. But before we do that, this is the length of your arm. So all the way from the top of your shoulder all the way to your wrist, or however long you want it on your wrist. Okay, so mine is about 90, it's about 90 worth of chains to create the length of my arm. So if you have a smaller arm, then you need to do less, and if you have a longer arm, then you need to do more. And the way you do that is just measure your arm from your wrist here all the way to the top of your shoulder, and you will get the amount of inches that you need to then know how long the chain you need is. Okay, so that's how you measure that. And so to go ahead and get started with our first row, we're going to skip this 91st stitch that we just did. And in this second one here, I am going to go ahead and do a single crochet in the back of the chain, just like that. And that's the first. And then we're going to go into the second and do the same there. So a single crochet stitch in the back of the chain. Again, this is the front of the chain here, and this is the back of the chain, and we're grabbing these lumps in the back of the chain. So that's a 3, and we're going to do this until you get 15. So when you get to 15, come back and I will show you guys how to do something different from there. Okay, so I have gone ahead and done single crochet stitches in the back of the chain. So I have 15 that I've completed here. So I'm going to take my stitch marker and put it on that 15th stitch and lock it in. Okay, so and for the next 75 stitches, I'm going to do half double crochets, but I'm going to also continue to go in the back of the chain. So this way I'm gonna keep it consistent, so we're not changing where we're going into in the stitches for the second part of this first row. Okay, so again, I'm going to do my half double crochet stitches. And for those of you obviously who are not aware of what a half double crochet stitch is, you just go and yarn over when you have your 3 loops in the hook, then you go and yarn over and go through all 3. So this is pretty much what we're going to do until we get to the end. When you get to the end of the chain, come back and I will show you guys how to turn around and come back this way. And this is going to be your repeat pretty much for the next, not this first stitch here, this first row here, but the second row is going to be your repeat row until you have the sleeve, one of the sleeves done, and then we're going to go ahead and create the second. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and when you get to the end, come back to the video and I will show you guys what to do next. See you guys in a bit. Okay, so I have gone ahead and completed my half double crochets, and as well we have our beginning of the stitch here where we have our single crochet stitches. So that is the end of the first row. So again, this is for the length of my arm. It may look super long here because it's zoomed in, but that is pretty much the length of my arm. Okay, so again, you would have created what the length of your arm is, or however big you want your, or loose you want your sweater to be on your arm. Okay, all right, so to go ahead and get started with our second row, which is going to be our repeat row, we're going to do a chain of 1 and then turn. And then for the next 75 stitches, we're going to do half double crochets in the back of the chain. Okay, so just like we have been doing, and we're going to do this, like I said, for the next 75 stitches. And then when we get to the stitch marker, we're going to remove the stitch marker, and the stitch marker being the first stitch of the single crochet stitch, and we're going to do that for 15 stitches, and then pretty much that's the repeat of the pattern until we have the panel for the arm completed. Okay, so go ahead and do this. I'm gonna show you guys where to transition where the stitch marker is. So do your half double crochet stitches for this portion until you get to the stitch marker. When you get to the stitch marker, come back to the video, and like I said, I will show you guys how to transition into the single crochet stitches again, continuing in the back loop. And then we're gonna pretty much, I will have you guys continue to do this until you have the size you want. Okay, all right, so I'll see you guys when you get to the stitch marker. Okay, so I've gotten to where my stitch marker is. As you can see, this is my last half double crochet stitch right here, and I have the stitch marker, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker temporarily just so I can do my stitch there, and then we're going to put it back on. So in that stitch right here, we're going to go and do our single crochet in the back loop. Okay, so there we go, and then I'm just going to put my stitch marker back in that spot, and then we're going to continue for the next 14 stitches to do our single crochets. And for those of you who follow me here or have watched a few of my videos, at the end I don't go through the back loop only, I go through both loops, and it's going to be the same thing when we get to this end eventually when we turn the work around. And that's just a preference of mine, and I find it that it leaves the work nice and rounded up and not loose or hanging loosely at the end. But I'm just gonna do this to the end here, and then I will have you guys pretty much repeat this until you have the number of rows that you require to cover your arm. And for me, I'm going to do about 30 rows. And of course, I have very slim arms, as you can see. So 30 covers me, and it's a little bit loose, but it's up to you if you want to do yours tight or looser or whatever the case is. Okay, so again, I've done my 14 stitches of the single crochet in the back loop here. I have one stitch to go, and in this final stitch here, I'm just gonna stretch it so I can make sure it's working out okay. I'm going to go through the both loops like that to do my final single crochet. Okay, then I'm going to chain one and turn, and this is, we're chaining one on both sides, this side as well as this side. We're chaining one before we start either a single crochet stitch in the back loop or a half double crochet stitch in the back loop. So either way, we're starting with a chain one, and then we turn, and then in that very first stitch in the back, we're going to do our single crochet, and we're going to move on to the next and do a single crochet. And again, make sure you have your 15 stitches from the beginning here to where the stitch marker is. The stitch marker has a stitch that is also for the single crochet in the back loop. Okay, and then we're going to then do the remaining 75 stitches in the half double crochet in the back loop. And this is pretty much the repetition that we're going to do for both of our sleeves. Okay, so very, very simple work here. As you can see, based on my channel, I call it Simply Angel Tiah because my goal is to simplify things, create beautiful projects with very simple ways to do it instead of doing something too complicated. Okay, so with that said, we're on our 15th stitch here where the stitch marker is. We're going to remove it temporarily, do our half double crochet, single crochet stitch there, place our stitch marker back on, and then continue to do the rest of the stitches in the half double crochets in the back loop. Okay, so and then we're just going to continue to do this again until we get to the end. For the final stitch, we're going to go through both loops instead of just going through the back loop, and then chain one and turn, and then repeat this for as long as you need to gain the size. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop here so you guys can continue to build your work up. So as you can see again, where we're doing our single crochet stitches, it's a little bit thinner, and that's gonna be because it's gonna be what hugs our wrist, and then the rest of it is a little bit bigger or wider because it's gonna be as our arms get higher into our body, it gets thicker. So we're doing this so that it has a nice tight here, and then it's gonna get to go a little bit wider as it goes up. Okay, so I'm going to do 30 rows of this. I already have my 2 rows including my third row that I just started here, and then I'm going to do 30, and when I have my 30 rows, I'm going to come back to finish this part off, and then I will let you guys start the second arm until that's done, and then we're going to work on the neckline because this is an arm and neck warmer. Okay, so go ahead and do that and come back when you have completed your panel for one of the arms. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so I have gone ahead and completed one of the sleeves, as you can see here. So I did 30 rows as I mentioned previously, and this is pretty much how it looks like. This is the part for the wrist, and then it goes up and it continues to get wider because our arms get wider as it goes this way, or it goes as it goes towards your body, at least for most people. So that is pretty much how it looks like. As you can see, this is where I ended it, and I've already cut off the yarn, so I've already disconnected the skein of yarn here from the actual work. And as you can see, I left a little bit of a long string because I'm going to be using it to sew these together or to join it so I can create the actual sleeve like this. So this is how it's going to be. We're going to sew it up like this until maybe about here, because this part of it is going to be part of the armpit that we're going to leave open. Okay, so that is pretty much here. So I'm just going to quickly show you. So again, I'm doing a small to a medium. So if you're making it for yourself, then the measurements are not going to apply to you. So make sure you have the right measurements for your size. Okay, So if I measure the length of the arm right now, it's about 25.5 inches. So I'll show you here. So that is the beginning, and if I go all the way across, then we are at 25, a little bit over 25.5, so maybe 25.75, something like that. Okay, so if you have long arms, then yours will have been even longer, and that's why I said at the beginning to start the number of rows based on the length of your arm. Okay, so we've done the first sleeve now done. We're going to go ahead and do the second one, and of course we're going to do it offline because you're just literally duplicating what we just did with this. So go ahead and start the second sleeve. When you have both sleeves completed, come back and I will go ahead and show you guys how to do the neck part. Okay, so the turtleneck part of this arm warmer. I call it arms and neck warmer. So we're gonna be doing the neck portion of the project. Okay, so but first go ahead and finish your second sleeve and then come back, and when you have your two sleeves done, then come back. Okay, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so I have gone ahead and completed my second sleeve as well. So as you can see here, this is the sleeve we finished previously, and then offline and went ahead and duplicated that and made a second one exactly the same. So as you can see here, these are my two sleeves completed. I'm sorry, the camera makes it look like this one is smaller just because it's furthest away from the lens, but just to make sure you guys understand, it's actually the exact same. If I line it up like this, it's exactly the same size. Okay, so don't let the camera view here fool you, because it does look like it is shorter when I show them both like this. See that? It looks like it's a little bit longer, but anyways, so these are my two sleeves done. So we're going to go ahead and put these away. So again, 30 rows on this and 30 rows on this, so nothing changes, it's exactly the same. And of course, if you're doing it for your size, whatever size that is, then it's gonna be the exact same sizing as the first one, no matter what the size of it you did was. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these guys away. We're gonna put these guys on the side for a little bit so we can work on the neck portion, and then we'll come back, and when we finish that, we're gonna come back and join everything together. So I'm gonna pack these away, and then we're gonna get started on the neck part. Okay, see you guys in a minute. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the neck portion of this project. And as you can see here, I've already set it up so that I'm going to leave a long string hanging so that we can join our part together. And then we're going to start with a slip knot. Okay, just like that. And now that we have our slip knot, I'm going to do a chain of 51. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about this portion of the project. So I'm going to do a turtleneck that is quite loose because I don't like turtlenecks that are hugging your neck so much, especially when it's made out of crochet. It could get really uncomfortable and really hot. So I'm going to make this one to have a really loose turtleneck. So you're going to see that I'm starting with a really long chain. So chain 51, 51st chain is the turning chain, so really it's just 50 chains. At the end of it, it's going to end up being 50 stitches. And then I'm also going to do a really long like so many rows to make it really loose, so that when I fold the turtleneck down, it's not going to be like holding my neck really tight. Again, my preference, I don't like that turtlenecks can hug you that tight, especially if it's a material that's going to be really boiling. So this is, I'm just explaining this portion of the project. So if you're going to look to do a little bit of a tighter turtleneck, then this is probably not the project for you. I will probably do one that will show me doing a turtleneck a little bit tighter, just for those of you who prefer that. So in the near future, I'll probably do another video for the same project, but just having a turtleneck that is a little bit tighter for the preference of other people. Okay, all right, so with all of that blubber out of the way, I'm going to start my chain of 51. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have my chain of 51 here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start a very simple pattern that is going to be a repeat of this next row that I'm doing, which is our first row pretty much. And it's going to be, well, second row is gonna be the repeat row, but it's pretty much half double crochets. And for this first part, we're going to be working in the back of the chain. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're skipping this first chain here, or the last chain we did, because that's the turning. because that is the turning chain. And in this next one here, we're going to do a half double crochet in the back of the chain. And I'm just going to do my half double crochets going in the back of the chain until I get all the way back to the beginning of this chain. And that is going to be the first row, and then the second row is going to be a repeat. So I'm gonna have you guys work and go all the way to the end, and when you get to the end, come back and I'll go ahead and show you how to start the second row, which is a repeat row. See you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so I have completed my first row here of the half double crochet in the back of the chain. Now again, I'm just going to quickly show you guys something. The reason I do work in the back of the chain for most of my project is because it creates these neat edge like this. Okay, on both sides it looks similar, and it makes it also really easy for when you're joining two parts or two panels together. You have a really clear guide on where to join, therefore creating a really neat joining. But again, for those of you who don't like to do it like this, then you will just go through and do the regular way of doing stitches on your chain, which is usually just the front. Most people just pick the front stitch to do that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you how to start the second row, and like I said, this is going to be the repeat row for this portion of the project. So I'm going to chain one and then turn my work, and then I'm going to do half double crochets in the back of the chain. Okay, sorry, in the back of the stitch. So it's going to be the back loop half double crochet, and as you can see here, I have my V stitches here, and in this back one, I'm going to grab the back of the stitch and do my half double crochet there, and then I'm going to move on into the next stitch and do the same thing there. And I'm pretty much going to do this all the way to the end, and the only one that I'm going to go through both loops is the back, is the final stitch right here. So this final stitch here, I'm going to be going through both loops like this, and this is going to be something that I'll do constantly at the end of each row. The beginning, I go through the back loop for the first stitch, in the first stitch, but at the end, when I finish it off, I go through both loops. Okay, and this is again something that I prefer to do. So for those of you who know my work, you know that that's what I'm gonna do at any given time that I'm doing a back loop, any stitch in the back loop. I end up doing the final stitch going through both loops. Okay, so this is a repeat row, so you're going to go ahead and do this portion of the project. I'm going to do 60 rows of this half double crochet in the back loop to create my turtleneck, and like I said earlier, it's going to be a nice loose big turtleneck. So this is why I'm doing so many rows. So go ahead and do that if you're following the pattern as is, because otherwise you would not know what to do. If you want to do a tight turtleneck, maybe this is not the tutorial for you. But if you're following this exactly as I'm doing it, then of course make your turtleneck really loose by doing as many rows as you would like. In this case here, because we're going to be joining the arms to it, I decided to do double what each of the sleeves stitches is. And as you guys remember, I did 30 rows for each of the sleeves. These guys here did 30 rows, and so I'm going to do 60 rows for this, because it's going to be 30 for this one side and 30 for the other side. Okay, for the two sleeves that I have. So that is why I'm doing 60, and also it just makes me do that nice big loose turtleneck. All right, so go ahead and do this until you get the number of rows that you're getting. However many rows you did, double that up for both sleeves, or well, for each sleeve. So for both sleeves, do the number, let me repeat that again. So for your turtleneck, do what the total rows of the sleeves are when you combine the two sleeves together. Okay, so in this case, I'm doing 60 because each sleeve was 30 rows. There you go, got that out. Anyway, so go ahead and do that, and when you get to the end, when you have the number of rows you need, come back and I will show you guys how to finish it off and how to join the 3 panels together. Okay, so I will see you guys in a minute. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and done my 60 rows for the turtleneck here. So as you can see, I had to zoom my camera, I had to zoom it out so you can see. Is this zooming out or in? Anyways, I had to make it so that you could look at everything in one picture instead of, you know, seeing pieces of it. So this is pretty much what I have done, 60 rows. And for those of you who prefer to see what measurements are, this is about 22 rows. 22 rows. This is about 22 inches wide, like if you look at it in the length, and then if you look at it in the width, then it's about 13, just a tiny bit over 13 inches. And that is for my turtleneck. Okay, so now that this part of it is done, so as you can see, this is where we started off. I left a string out, but also where I ended it, I cut it and I left a long string out, because you never know, maybe I'm gonna need this here, but if not, then I'll just fasten it off and cut it off. But so this is pretty much gonna be folded in a half like this, and this is going to be the size of the turtleneck. So when we join it, it's gonna be, I'm gonna end up folding it like this eventually, and this is gonna be how the turtleneck falls back, obviously longer than halfway, but I will show it to you when I have joined these here together, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, so now we're going to be doing a lot of the joinings here, so I'm gonna show you quickly just what to do, and then I'm gonna have you guys join everything together on your own, and then we will review our work at the end. Okay, so for this guy here, we're just going to join it along to this end here so that we have our tube. Okay, so we're gonna bring our darning needle into the program here, and we're gonna get started on that. So hopefully this is long enough to join this. I think so. I think it's gonna be long enough. Anyways, so yeah, so we're gonna end up joining this here. So I'm just gonna, so the string that I left long is on the opposite side of me, and the side that doesn't have a string is on closest to me. So I'm just gonna pick up the first stitch here. I'm gonna pick, maybe this is the time I should zoom closer. I never know if it's in or out. I'll zoom closer so that you can see it properly. So this first stitch here, I'm going to go through both loops like that, and then right the first stitch on the other side as well, where the string is coming from, I'm gonna grab those two guys and then pull, and that joins the beginning of that stitch here. And what I do most times is I just rerun that portion there one more time to make sure that that part of it is fully secure. And then as we go down this way, usually sometimes I like to go through just one loop, and then one loop on one side and then another loop on the other side. What I will do with this one is I will go through both loops all the way through. So I'm just grabbing two loops on this side and then the two loops on the other side, and then pulling. And just make sure you're lining your string up properly so that it's not overlapping in a weird way. And I'm just going to do this all the way to the end. And when I get to the end, then that's pretty much done for this part. It would be done and joined. So go ahead and do this. When you get to the end there, come back to the video so we can go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, lovelies, so I have reached the end here. So as you can see, I just have a little bit of a gap here to shut off. And I'm just going to go through that final stitch right there and pull that in. And I'm going to do one more just a little bit further to the edge so that it doesn't have a little bit of a gap there. And I'm just gonna shut that off. And by the way, just FYI, I actually ran out of yarn, the string that I was sewing with, just right almost at the end. So I had to connect and get another piece to be able to finish that to the end. So just in case you run into something like that, it's not a problem at all. You can always just grab another piece and continue. So this is where we joined our work right here. So as you can see, very like literally not visible at all. If it wasn't of this knob here that I had just joined some more yarn to finish, I wouldn't even know that this was the section that I had joined the project. that's how good you want it to look. You don't want it to look like very messy and too obvious that that's where the work is joined in, okay? All right, so this is done here. So what I will do is I will just cut that string here, and I can always fasten that in a little bit. But this is pretty much your turtleneck here now. So as you can see, let me just go back into a wide lens here again so you can see properly. So that is it. So this is pretty much how we're going to be folding this turtleneck in, like this. Obviously a little bit lower, depending on how low you want it. Maybe you will just want it to be a little bit higher. But this is pretty much how you're going to be folding it in. This is where your neck is going to be coming through. It's going to be really nice and warm. It's almost going to look like what do you call it? Like a caul for your neck. But in this case here, it's going to be an arm warmer as well. So this is it here, okay? So now we're going to be bringing in the sleeves so we can finish the sleeves by joining them as well. So we're going to join the sleeves right like that, okay? And as I said, we had the strings that we left. This one I left long, which is good because I didn't want to run out again. So we're going to be joining these all the way until maybe somewhere right here, because this is where our arm is going to be coming through, and this portion is that we're joining to the turtleneck, okay? So I don't know how big your arm is. So for me, I measured earlier. I'm going to be leaving about 20 to 25 stitches, which is going to be about 7, maybe I'll do 8 inches down. I'm going to leave that gap, and it's always good to leave a bigger gap than doing it too short, and then it like, you know, this part is pinching your, you know, like it's right underneath your armpit and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's always good to leave it wider at first, and if you need to you know, like stitch a little bit more up, then you can always do that after you have joined the project and you realize, or you try it on and you realize that you need to make it a little bit tighter up, okay? But for me, I'm going to start off by leaving about 8 inches open. So which mean right here is where I'm gonna sew these all the way, join it all the way from down on from my wrist all the way to here, leaving this gap here. And I'm gonna do the same for the second sleeve. I'm going to do the same for this. And then when those two are done, then we're going to come back and join it to the turtleneck, okay? So for now, go ahead and join your two sleeves together with leaving your gap over here. And then when that's done, come back and then we'll work on putting the turtleneck together with it, okay? So I will see you guys in a bit. And in terms of sewing these here, you're pretty much just doing exactly what we did with the turtleneck. Okay, just start off where the string is and then go all the way up to where you need to stop. And the best thing to do is make sure you have your stitch markers. I don't have one right now. I'll go grab some. But make sure you stitch mark where you're going to stop so that you don't, you know, forget and go too high up, okay? So go ahead and do that. I will come back to the video when I have joined both of my sleeves so I can show you guys how to join the two sleeves to the turtleneck, okay? See you guys in a bit. All right, so I have gone ahead and joined my two sleeves here. So as you can see, this is where I stopped to be able to leave a gap here for the armpit. And if it's too gappy, I can always just move this string here. That is also why I left it on. But just to show you guys quickly where I joined the work, this is literally where we joined the work right here. And again, because of the technique that we use, we don't see anything at all. So you don't see that there's a joining of the sleeve there at all. And that is usually what you try to aim for so that your work looks really nice and neat. And I did the same with the second one. This is the second sleeve here. That is the joining right here. Honestly, if it wasn't a guide of where this gap is, I wouldn't even tell you where I joined it, but that's where it is. So that's it. So our two sleeves are joined. And one thing that you can do as well, unfortunately I cannot fit my full arm in the camera here, but you could put the sleeve on, like try it on, and then see how far this goes on the armpit. Obviously, like I'm struggling right now, but you know what I'm talking about. So oops, now I'm shaking everything. But like if I did this like this goes under the armpit, it will give me a good idea of whether it's too gappy or if I need to sew some more. but not right now. We're not gonna do that right now because we need to make sure we join the sleeve or the turtleneck to it first. Oh, I don't want to fall off my chair here. And that is what we're gonna do now. Okay, so when we sew the turtleneck on and we feel like, so again, at this moment you can try your sleeve on to see if this space is too much. If it is too much, try to remember where you need to move it up, and maybe either remember that or take a stitch marker and put it on it so that you know where to end up it at the end, moving these up. And the same thing with the second one. But for now, leave it gappy like that so that you can actually put the sleeve on first, because sometimes after you put the sleeve on, you may realize you don't even need to move these up because it will just look perfect the way it is. Okay. All right. So we have our turtleneck here. This is where we joined right here. Okay, I'm gonna move that section to the side, on the side, so that it's along the side like this. And then I'm just gonna have that like that. So how we're going to join the turtleneck to the sleeves is, this is going to be one of the side, and we're going to take our turtleneck. This is our sleeve. This is the side that's gonna go underneath. This is the inside of your underarm, armpit, all the way down the underarm. And you're going to line these up. Let's move these up. You're going to line these up like this, and we're going to join this guy right here. And the way we do that is just you should have 15 of these, so 30 rows here and 30 rows here. So in terms of lining it up, it shouldn't be a problem at all. You should be able to line it up completely equal. So you'll take your stitch marker and you will just pinch it where your work lines up to the side, and put your stitch marker there. And then you're going to take the other stitch marker and you're going to do that at the same, on the same end here, and you're going to pinch that guy here and put that there. Okay, so this is where we're gonna be sewing the work on this side, is right here like this. And you're going to do it in a very, very nice and neat way. And I'm not going to show you guys how to do all of this on camera, but just follow the same technique we used on the other side, but except here with not having very definite stitches on where to go. You will just pretty much pick the stitch right here, or the you know, like the spaces that look like stitches, move it, and you go all the way across. But make sure you don't go too deep like this. Don't take too much gap like that. Make sure you're just grabbing the stitches on top, or something very, very, very light on top, to be able to join this side. And when this side is done, you're going to flip your work to the opposite side. Okay, so this side is gonna be on the down like this, and then you're going to take the sleeve, the other sleeve, and you're going to join it like this on this side as well. Okay, so when the whole thing is done, this is going to be the sleeve touching the bottom on this side, the bottom on that side, and your turtleneck. So go ahead and do that. I know I will probably get a lot of questions on how I did this, but it's not very hard. So just make sure you have your rows lining up very nicely, so that when you're done, it's going to line up so that you have this stitch lining up and it looks like it's just continuously moving on to the other side. Okay, so go ahead and do this. When this part of the project is done, come back to the video and we will look at the whole project that is completed to see how it looks. But go ahead and sew your 2 sleeves on each of the sides like this. Okay, I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have, as you can see here, I've gone ahead and joined my 2 sleeves to the turtleneck, and this is how it looks on this side. Of course, because we don't have very definite stitches on both of these parts here, the joining looks a little bit rougher, so you're able to see it there, but that's, you know, that is craft work. You don't always do everything to look perfect, because otherwise that's what the machines do. But anyway, so I have joined the 1 sleeve on this side, and as you will notice here too, after I joined the sleeves to the turtleneck, I tried my outfit on, and it was a little bit loose under my armpit. So I ended up just adding a few, like 5 more stitches here to kind of go up a little bit. And I did that with the other side as well. So as you will see, I did the same thing here. I think I had stopped somewhere here and I just did 5 more stitches that way, just to snatch in the armpit area a little bit in, just so it's not too loose. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the work. So I'm just going to take the turtleneck portion of it and flip it so that it's how we would wear it. So now it looks something like this. Okay, so now it looks something like this. It's a little bit weird because it looks like pants. It looks like a pair of pants that we would put on with like a high-waisted portion of it here. But anyways, so that is pretty much how it looks like here. And this is where we would fold the turtleneck like this. And like I said, again, I did mine to be nice and big and puffy, so that it's not going to be too tight. So we will pretty much fold it like this, and then this is going to be where our head goes, and then we stretch our arms in here, and one arm will go all the way to the bottom of the wrist area, and the same on this side. Okay, so I'm gonna weave in or kind of trim that section here. The rest of it I've done. So but that's pretty much it, you guys. As you have seen already in the pictures how this looks on, that's pretty much how it would look on. It's nice and very comfortable. This material or this yarn is actually really nice and soft. But that's pretty much it here. So I hope you guys enjoyed working on this project with me today. Thank you so much for always joining me and for watching the video to the end. And this is part of the video where I remind you guys to please subscribe to my channel, Simply Angel Tiah, if you haven't done so. And of course, don't forget to comment, don't forget to like the video, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so I can so you can be notified of all the videos that I'm posting in the future. And I always post about once a week. And this is the project for this week. So hopefully you guys had fun with this. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Kwaheri.